Hmm. Oh, hey guys! I was just
What?
watching her hula.
What the
It,
heck, Royce?
it's a fragile lap. It's Italian.
It's fragile.
What's fragile?
It's fragile.
It's a slap. It's solar powered and a little dancing lap from A Christmas Story. You know, hey,
Is that like a raspberry pie?
It's Christmas in June.
Christmas in June.
On After the Bell.
Oh.
Brought to you by Singapore.
Brought to you by Singapore.
Wait, did you
Probably
move? Or are you
made
still in
there.
Singapore?
Probably made there.
I'm in Bangkok right now, but
Well, we got a whole nother direction we could go with that. But we won't. This is you know what? We check on YouTube. It's not for kids, so maybe we can.
Well, there is that.
You started it, Royce. Yeah. You started with your leg lamp, and then
it was a lamp.
And then he says he's from Bangkok. What?
And all she was doing was hooling. I'm like, hey.
Let's before we get banned, let's move on here. I'm Darren with Arbitrage Trade, and this is Wednesdays After the Bell. Want to welcome Daniel Hopwood. He actually made it back again. He has not been banned from Singapore.
We're on a roll.
Bangkok now. And he got up early enough to be with us. Thank you very much. That means you weren't out too late last night, or maybe you just never went to bed.
He never went to bed. He texted me yesterday.
That's my wager.
No. First of all, actually, it probably was. It was 11 o'clock here, but I literally just couldn't sleep, and I was like, you know what? Let's call Royce now, so that I don't have to wake up in 3 hours.
Those youngsters, they can just stay up all the time, Royce. They just go. Remember back when we were young, we could do that.
You know, when he for his 30th birthday, he might turn 30 eventually. I'm getting him some insurance to pay.
What do you mean eventually? Of course I'm gonna. Yeah, I'm at a rejuvenation clinic here where they just reverse your aging.
Right. Hey, there are lots of spas there, I guarantee you. All right, let's keep moving here. The owner of the leg lamp, lingerie leg lamp, Royce Wells, our CEO and founder. Is that good or bad? I don't know.
It's great.
All right,
I love you guys.
And of course, I am the resident ape, and I've been called names like an ape or dumb money. Gasparino laughs in my face, saying "hi" all the time. And as a disclosure, we are not financial advisors, and we do not give financial advice. This information is purely for entertainment only, and hopefully, we're entertaining you now. And
are
please.
You not entertained?
Are you not entertained? And please always consult an investment professional before making any financial decisions. I'll try to get quicker with that part in the future. So let's move on, guys, and start talking about this crazy thing called a stock market, which is going on right now. The S&P, I think, Dan, you got some stats you brought for us, right? You're going to say, okay, go ahead.
So last month, the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ both posted their best May performance in years. And as we've talked about before, in an election year, president's fourth year, markets are really strong. So people are anticipating, other than maybe Royce, we'll find out soon,
and me,
a really strong second half. Well, Darren, you're a perma-bear on anything good for the people.
Negative.
But this year, the market's already up 11%. So I mean, we're on a roll. But I know, Darren, you have some stats because you want some more FaceTime on the clips to counter.
No, I don't have a whole lot of stats. You know, we apes, we don't bring stats. We just bring feelings and emotions.
Numbers hard.
Numbers hard. Crayon. Ran out of crayons. I ate them all.
Bring out the crayon. Slip the glue.
We don't have to think. We know everything, and it's already done. We already know what's going on. That's what it is. Come on. Charles Gasparino agrees with us. Jim Cramer agrees with us.
Okay, give us
I'm out.
All right, so bye. Did you guys see that BlackRock and Citadel they're trying to go off and do their own exchange? Did you guys see that yet?
Yeah.
No.
See, I bring news. This dumb ape brings news. But yes, that's what they're talking about doing. And it's funny as this whole SEC trying to make things more accountable and transparent. That I'm going to take my ball and go and create
we have
my
our
own
own
basketball
exchange.
court
We don't
over
have to
here.
talk to you. We don't have the rules.
The rules.
I mean,
what stinking rules?
Isn't an exchange more regulated than being like a market maker though? So wouldn't that put them more in the
Not
SEC's eyesight?
necessarily. Not
Yeah, they got.
necessarily. Because basically all you're doing is handling data. You're not necessarily like all your level 2, all your level 3 data. That's all your back office. Right?
It's pretty much like a private pool, but in exchange now.
Yeah. So it can become like a dark pool because
Yes.
once again, who's controlling it? Right? So
I mean, Ken Griffin was trying to sue so that their transparency rule would not happen. So he's like, well, if I can't make this happen, then I'm just going to create my own exchange. Hey, Larry Fink, what you doing, man? I need to talk to you. So that's what's happening.
Dropping
iShare
names.
market.
Looking for heat.
You think the AI will pick that up? They love us so much. All I said
I don't think they're looking
Fink,
at us.
And Griffin. That's all I've said so far. And Royce Wells. All right. Let's talk about JOLTS, the job report. Daniel, you're bringing some more numbers here. Let's talk about what is it this week, or should I say, what is it today, and what's the narrative? The release of numbers this past week.
Yeah, so I don't remember what the exact numbers were, but
Gotcha.
job openings fell. I know I sniffed a little too much glue while we're waiting. Job numbers fell to a new low for first time in 3 years, and a lot of people are kind of pointing to this being the first kind of crack in the economy that could send things down. Because job openings are always going up, employment numbers are always going up, and now it's showing like, oh, companies aren't hiring like they were. And I kind of pose the question to you guys, like, is this the indication of maybe a landing that might not be so soft?
So not as much of a cheerleader as like what you're saying. It's all 11%. Yay, go team. Royce, what do you think?
I personally think that, well, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence.
It is, because they're on the fence. I mean, every time they give these numbers out, they give a past revision, which is always lower. We had our cheerleading session this past month because and then, by the way, that wasn't right.
Yeah, that wasn't right. And that's why I'm on the
previous
fence.
one of the previous. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, no, sorry. That's part of the reason I'm on the fence, because basically it's like you see the stock market once again, all-time highs. You see the job report coming up, and everybody's like, okay, well, is it getting scary? Basically, we've seen a little bit of topping, meaning basically we're staying pretty much in this range, right? But all it takes is one more, just out the gate momentum push, or another just push up, as they say, right? And we can go higher. My charts say that basically the S&P 500 can get all the way up to like 565, and I think we're at 530ish right now. So that means we got another at least maybe 4.5-5% to go. So as far as ending the quarter or ending the year with the presidency, maybe we will end it, and then basically as soon as the election's over, swoosh, clear the boards, boys, clear the boards. But as far as just a job report, I don't know. I think that a lot of people have been replaced with AI, or basically things that are similar or akin to AI. And because of that, a lot of people are hurting because of 2, inflation, and 3, did you guys know, since we're talking about the jobs report, for unemployed people, did you know that the unemployment rate, the maximum that you get per week, is $300? And that number has only changed by $25 in the last 30 years.
I thought.
Don't tell politicians that, please.
Wait. I need some life schooling. So I've never been unemployed in the sense that like I could collect unemployment. I thought unemployment was like a proportion based on your prior salary.
They can cap it. they can cap it. And just like your Social Security, they can cap it. Basically, they want you to find another job. This is literally just a Band-Aid until you find another job. So my blog post this week is on unemployment and basically the unemployment rate, which is how I'm going to tie this all together, right? But with that being said, it's like, how does someone live on basically, if it hasn't changed in 30 years, how do you live with all the inflation that's happened off of $1,200 a month? And that's maxed out, by the way. And that's across the country. So if you're in California, you may as well start eating out of dumpsters.
I mean, if I still lived in California, I wouldn't be able to pay rent.
Yeah.
I mean, rent was
you just
15.
You go to Mexico, then you walk back across, and then you've got a raise.
Oh, stop it.
Oh, just take the bridge to work every day.
Take the bridge to work.
There's a bridge that people commute to the U.S. every day.
Oh wow! I did
and
not.
trains and planes anyway.
No, I'm not kidding. There are people who live in Mexico and commute to the U.S. every single day, which is kind of ridiculous in my mind. But taxes.
Wow!
One day visa every day. Yeah. So you saw my hat, right? So it finally came in from China.
Tinfoil. All right, we're proud of you.
Yeah, it's a little more stylish than the one tinfoils I've seen online. So could it be that the Fed, they've been saying that their most important number, they keep changing. Well, the most important number next time will be blah blah blah. The data says blah blah blah. So they've been focusing on employment now. So they're itching, or it's been agreed upon to lower rates, cut rates when employment comes down. And so if, let's say that those numbers keep getting shaved down, whether or not they actually are, and it puts us closer, every time that happens, they can say, oh, well, we're that much closer to a rate cut. And so then the market goes, woo. So it just seems to me like it's a coordinated effort going on here. But what do I know? Anyway, I will say that employment is what they have moved on to now, to say that that's the most important thing now. So who knows? They keep changing their mind. All right, let's move on to the bond yields, because I mean they correlate in a right world, they correlate. So the bond, they went down another 0.5% today, like across the board. It was weird. It was like one was down 0.5, the other was down 0.53, the other was down 0.51. It's almost like it was just coordinated. All three went down. So give us a little.
Market is up. Bonds usually go down when market goes up.
Yeah, sometimes it did. But it's just, these numbers, just the way they move and everything, just don't make sense. We know that. So let's talk about
dollars.
1 + 1 = 3. So
binary.
You actually did, and we're going to be talking about this in deep dive, by the way, Daniel. But the yields and everything else that goes on, and no, we're not talking about yields this week. That was last week, wasn't it? I don't know. We talked about so many things, Daniel. But
I don't remember what we talked about last week.
Give us, get some sleep every now and then.
Oh my God.
Give us a yield statement. What the inverted yield is, what that means, why we've been there. Is that going to revert back? Kind of give us some information on that. I know you did write about that though.
Yeah, we have talked about that in the past, but so the yield curve inverts when the more forward-facing bond, so like the 2-year Treasury, has a better yield than the long-term facing bond, which typically shows a negative output for the economy. And right now, the 10-year yield curve has been inverted, or underwater, if you will, negative, for over 2 years, right?
Yeah. And no recession, no inflation. We're good.
Well, no. So the thing is that you never see the recession till it reverts to being positive, right? But it has, like, of the last 5 recessions, it's predicted all 5 of them. But there's a lot of, because this time it's been inverted so long, people are kind of like, well, does it really predict recessions? Is it still a valuable indicator? But I think what people forget is that once it reverts, give it 3-6 months, that's when the recession happens, right? It's like, it's when they cut rates, it's not we're in a recession then. It's like 3 to 6 months later, that's when you see the market drop 10,
Actually
20%,
starts. Yep.
right? So,
So
I mean,
norm.
in my mind, sorry, go ahead, Darren.
I was just gonna say a normal curve, just to kind of for everybody, is that the 2 is low, the 10 is high, and right now we're inverted. The 2 is high and the 10 is low. So we have to kind of do this to get back to what's a normal, quote, healthy uh, curve, if you will. Is that correct?
A non-inverted.
Because the idea is that you buy longer term debt at a higher interest rate because things are going to be
Right.
better in the long term and things are more volatile in the short term. But it changes when we're like, well, we know things aren't too bad right now, but it's not looking too good in the future. And then when it reverts, we're essentially saying the future looks better, the short term looks worse, hence a recession is coming, right? So that's why it goes back.
Yep, that
Gotcha.
makes sense.
So Royce, talk about gold. I mean, gold has been high. Silver's been high. Even copper has been high.
Yeah.
What is that in relation to the yields? Is there any correlation there or not?
I won't say like causation, maybe correlation a little bit. Like basically, people like to hide their money in things, right? Gold, silver, copper, precious metals, definitely. Hey, we were with a gold standard until Nixon in the 70s, right? And a lot of them looking at crypto maybe as a new gold, a new silver, or whatever, as they roll out this new ETF, the Ethereum ETF and the Bitcoin ETF, and we're not going to talk about the XRP ETF just yet. I had to put them on my hat for just a second, right? I think that as long as people are getting out of bonds and basically, they think that precious metals might be a safer bet than bonds, because basically that's tying up your money. It's like the CDs, the annuities, all these things, all these instruments that the banks provide to you. It's basically so they can hold your money, so they can make money off of your money and then give you a return of some stable or stability while things are uncertain. That's why you invest in bonds, right? You know that you're going to get a metered return. So yes, gold always appreciates, silver always appreciates. So eventually, your investment will pay off. But those are for those buy and hold type people, not necessarily the Bitcoin appleheads of the world.
Well, I appreciate
no idea
you
who you're talking about.
All right, let's move on. There was this big glitch. We thought there might be some issues when we went to CAT. Things like people going off and trying to create their own stock exchanges now. But the CAT system is supposed to basically allow the SEC to be able to track everything that happens, even in the private world as well. So whether or not they do is a whole nother situation, but yes, it's there for them to possibly use now. I just find it hard to believe they haven't been able to track that for however many years the stock market's been open. But I digress.
If they reboot the CAT system, does that become a dead cat bounce? What?
If the chart does that, yes. Sure. It just goes flat. No bounce.
Mayday, we're on now.
So what do you think?
Dead cat.
One of the fun things that happened was Berkshire Hathaway lost 99%. And people who saw that got bids in, and they got Berkshire. They got it on their broker. It said $156 for a share, and of course after that they came back and said that those will all be canceled because of the settlement. It wasn't settled, so therefore they have the time to say nope, you don't get that. But it's kind of fun to look at.
If you got in and executed, you owe me money.
And it has been, and it said executed. So we'll see if there's any lawsuits on that, because that was across the whole market. I mean, it wasn't just Berkshire. I mean, it was also AMC was even part of it. I didn't see it in the line for them, but NBC put out something that said that it happened to for some reason they put us all in the same group. I'll let you decide why, but it was Berkshire, AMC, and Chipotle. I don't know why they had to point out those three.
Wasn't GameStop in there too, or no?
And GameStop, you're right. It was 4. You're right.
Yep.
And so they had to decide, just like they've been doing, find any opportunity to bring in
Oh yeah.
Us guys. All right. There's got to be something to that, guys. All right. Anything else on the glitch? I mean, is it just a one-time thing, and everybody, but they basically allowed all the funds to get in at very low prices, and now they're
I mean,
Flash
Darren,
crash.
look,
averages.
the reason I put this in here is because I want to know your tinfoil hat. I want to know if you think
You just
something
heard it.
nefarious.
You just
Okay,
heard
that
it.
was it.
That's it. That they allowed a bunch of people who are really down on a play to either get out of their shorts or to average way down, so that now they're underneath all of the retail investors. So, I mean,
I mean,
that's
do you think that
contribution.
they would? I just can't imagine that they would do that for Burke. Like, I imagine, okay, AMC, GME, I get it, but like Berkshire Hathaway, like that's something that
You
they're gonna
allow
let that
wealthy
happen
guys
on.
though to
Hey,
get down even lower in their average
but based
cost,
on
and
its value,
how
right? I
much you
mean,
make
if
off of that, right?
$156 isn't it like at value at like 500 and something K?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's something like
Right. So
that.
I'm like,
I
okay,
didn't look it up.
if I can get Berkshire Hathaway and get like thousands of shares for $156, why not? And for those
Yep,
people, as long as at the end of the day I still have my money, I guess we're good.
yep, yep.
Right? Flash crashes, basically, yeah, they're evil. They're evil. But if you can do it and you have the ability to move the markets, you can make a lot of money.
A ton, especially off of that one. Absolutely. So it's funny, and you know how Chipotle was so
wait,
expensive as well.
so
So
do you think that they're letting the funds keep the shares that were executed on, but not retail? Is that your
It's
speculation then?
possible. It's definitely
possibly,
possible.
I remember I
possibly,
said, is that your speculation?
it's just possible. I'm not going to go as far as to say yes.
Allegedly.
I'm just saying it could happen. And no one would say, wait a minute, you did this, bad boy, slap your wrist and say, put it back. No.
Oh, and they say put it back. Oh, we're gonna fine you $2 million for moving the market, and $2 million for moving the
You
market.
made $1 trillion, but
See,
I'm going to fine you 2 million.
wouldn't this be the argument then for T+0 on the blockchain? Because if
It's
something
coming,
did
right?
happen, realistically, I don't think they do it anytime soon.
I don't either. I just had a glitch with
So, I
this
mean,
one. So
because you would be able to see that, like, oh, Pershing Square, who we'll talk about Billy Ackman in a moment, but
you
they bought
you're a fanboy.
Burke
Go ahead.
A. What? I am just a little bit, I feel bad for him when Carl Icahn crushed him. But wouldn't you see, like, in their, log, if you had T+0 on the blockchain, that, like, they bought Burke A at X time when it was, no for everyone else.
Yep.
But, like, obviously now it's like, well, we bought it on that day, but we didn't get it at that time, kind of thing. Like,
Let me talk here a
I also
second.
don't know if the okay, yeah, sorry. I'll hold my
No,
peace.
I'm just going to say, I just want to add in while I'm thinking about it, because I'm old and I'll forget things, is that
Pudding.
I think they've always, just like the military always has technology that we find out about 10 years later, I believe they've had this tracking system and they know exactly who's doing what. They can just choose what they actually take action on or not. And now they're virtue signaling, like, look, retail, we're trying to help you out. And it's just virtue signaling. So it reminds me of politics. There's my tinfoil.
All right.
All right, let's move on.
Let's strike him with some lightning. Make sure he feels
Yay!
sharp.
My hat's getting worn out already. All right, go ahead with your Pershing Square. I'm gonna have to call you Ackman, Bitcoin, Applehead. I don't know. What can I call you now? Go ahead. Tell me about Pershing
Right.
Square and Bill Ackman.
So, in case the listeners aren't aware, Bill Ackman, hedge fund manager of Pershing Square, the fund he started. I believe they manage about 16 billion. And they're looking at going public, which is not a normal thing for hedge funds. It's more normal, I'll say, for like asset management groups. You can think like an Apollo or a BlackRock, but for an actual hedge fund, it's pretty uncommon, just because they normally trade so volatilely. But he's actually looking at selling a 10% stake in Pershing Square as early as the beginning of next year. And something I found interesting is that he's only valuing the company at $10 billion, but they have asset under management at 16 billion. And to my knowledge, they're not extremely underwater in any position to the tune of, a third of the fund.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong.
To your
But
knowledge.
like that, right?
They could be leveraged though. They could be margin lending.
Well, so that's the thing that I read is that normally hedge funds don't do this because they trade so poorly because of the fees and the volatility.
Yeah.
And so, I'm curious on your guys' perspective of like why he might be doing this.
Well, why not? It's a fundraise, right? Every time you go any public offering, you're trying to raise money for your company. So whether it's more funds, from the masses or from a single investor, more money is more money, and why not? Why not?
Yeah, maybe he's trying to become the new Warren Buffett.
Exactly.
He kind of hinted at it already, didn't he?
Way.
I feel like he said some comments like that already.
He was looking to bring in investors for the long haul, whether they're retail or institutional, which, honestly, like, Berkshire Hathaway is essentially Warren Buffett and,
yeah, exactly.
RIP Charlie Munger's hedge fund, right?
Yep. You're right.
I heard a stat that if you looked at Berkshire Hathaway's performance over time, if you took out their leverage component, that they actually don't perform that well. But when you factor in the leverage,
the institutional guy is saying it too, man.
I know. What's going on with this world?
Hey, I don't know that for a fact. I read that and I was like, oh, that's interesting, because you always hear about them, doing so well every year, and it's like, oh, like, were they picking the best company, or did they pick, companies that were stable to where leverage, they could double, triple it, whatever, and so they didn't have to worry about the drawdown, because who the hell cares about the two railroads they own, right? Like, that's not Nvidia, right? No one's worried about shorting a railroad.
Yeah, that's true.
Or Geico. But
all right, let's move on to Salesforce. Another one of my favorite guys, Mr. CEO.
Wait, Darren, no tin foil
on Bill Ackman. No, I mean, it's, what I think about crypto and everything else and leveraging.
Next thing he's gonna be talking about, he likes Android. Just
Ackman likes crypto. He loves crypto.
Would you like some pudding? You need some pudding.
So does Trump. So
no,
now
I
it's confirmed. Felons love crypto.
Hey, a lot of apes like crypto too. I'm not speaking for them. I'm just one of them.
Same.
Don't put us all in a box. All right, so Salesforce
shades.
Salesforce posted its worst results ever. Is this all part of the we got an employment issue now all of a sudden that they're trying? It's just all part of the narrative, or what might be going on there with Salesforce?
I mean, from what I read is, they had when they reported earnings, they fell 20%, which is the worst decline they've ever had. In a single day kind of thing on earnings. And the big speculation is that they're just not going to be able to integrate AI into their business to, kind of get the leverage that maybe some other businesses are seeing.
Or not seeing, and they're just saying, like Salesforce said, and they threw it in to try to get a pump, and it worked, or to excuse all the money that came from the Fed to get into all of these top portfolio holdings, which drove their prices up, and then all the wealthy people can take their money and go home. Anything? Did I leave anything out on that? Just say AI.
Hat was like,
just say AI. That's all you got.
Darren's like, you like this hat?
Yikes!
All right. Anything actual?
So if we get off Darren's tinfoil for a moment, that could be part of it. I'm not saying it's not, but I do think I've kind of heard a lot of people shifting from buying these premium enterprise kind of SaaS things. Like Salesforce isn't super cheap, and they're looking like there's actually been a small shift to buy like a more traditional software model of like buying the license and paying for small upgrades when you want it. Like I know there's a entrepreneur kind of investor guy named Chamath Palihapitiya, and he started a company called 90. I know you probably hate him, Darren. 8090 or something, and that company's sole thing is building like 80% of the tools you need of an enterprise model solution, but giving it to you at like the 90% of the cost. So like significantly reduced. So building Salesforce without all the bells and whistles that nobody can figure out anyway, and instead of having it $100 a seat, selling it to you for $10 a seat. So I do think there's, and the way they're doing it is they have like maybe kind of like a lead project manager and developer in the States, but then outsourcing everything to like the Philippines, for example, giving them AI tools like ChatGPT. So they're building these tools for a tenth of the cost and 10x the time, and people get the advantage. So Darren, I'd love to know your comments on Chamath.
I can't believe he's still around, honestly.
Do you think he's a charlatan?
He was one of the earlier guys when all the meme craze went off too. That I think, is he still trying to sell marijuana? I don't know. It was, or medicine, or something like that.
He was the SPAC guy. He is the one who really started the whole SPAC craze.
Right, and he got a lot of people to jump in, a lot of apes to jump in, and it didn't go very well. So a lot of apes do not like that name and don't like it to be brought back up again. Thanks, Daniel. I was not one of those. I did not fall into his camp.
It sounded kind of personal there, Darren.
Not for me. Not for me.
To bring up next week.
For my brethren, not me.
That's right, Darren. Now it's time to talk about your favorite guy.
He's not really, though. I mean, those were the people that were really involved in Reddit. So we'll talk about this. His name is Keith Gill, aka Roaring Kitty. And he has caused quite the storm in the last week and a half or so, really 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. I don't remember when he started putting videos on X, and everybody started watching them. And then there was this whole watch it backwards. He put like maybe 8 or 9 videos or more on the and I don't mean like turning records backwards. I mean, just watch the last video he posted first, then the next last, all the way back to the first. And it tells a story. And the very first one he put out there was someone with a game controller in his hand, and he leaned forward in his chair. That was all it was. And then after that, there was more and more videos that came out. It was just different scenes from different movies, but they were telling different stories. So that is why there are some people who probably are losing big on this play that really want to sue him for manipulation of the market, because they're saying that just because, and he also put out how much he owns this past week. And that really sent people over, because they were saying, okay, he's showing what he owns, therefore that's manipulation. Everything else that goes on MSNBC.
Wait, why can't you show what you own?
Well, that's the point. You can. And CNBC, I'm sorry, not the other network, but every day people come on and basically say, hey, buy this, buy that, buy this. But he didn't even say that. He just put out a bunch of videos. You make your own assumptions about what they mean. You do what you think it means. And so people, obviously, especially in our community, love to decode messages. And so that immediately happened. And so anyway, he put up the fact that he had call options that were valued around $116 million. And this is why
not at the price that were the other day, apparently.
Later on, we talk about our wager, is why I wanted to go high. But we're going to get back to that. And that it could be worth $700 million based on the price. But I mean, by the time we get there, who knows? Anyway, it's E-Trade is the one that wants to sue him and kick him off the platform, their platform. So if you don't know, back in the day when this was really a big deal, there was a Super Bowl that happened the year after the explosion happened from GME, and you always watch the Super Bowl. So I'm sitting there in a bar, even though I don't drink ever, and I was sitting there,
What?
and the E-Trade commercial comes on, because if you remember, that's the one with all of the babies talking
Oh
smack.
yeah.
Oh, I
Okay,
love
so
the E-Trade babies.
they were
As a
awesome.
kid, those were my favorite commercials on the
I loved them too up
NBC.
until that day. I loved them because it had the baby sitting on a log and saying, making fun, basically. I wish I could just cut in the ad right here. But it basically making fun of meme trades and meme stocks and meme investors. And from that day forward, I didn't like it. So E-Trade is actually, guess who? Morgan Stanley. And Morgan Stanley is well known for shorting this and that and other things, not to be mentioned. So, and they're heavily involved in even just whenever one of these companies releases shares to be bought too, and say, here at Citi too, it's like Adam Aaron at AMC said, here, Citi, I want you to handle my offering of shares. Well, at the same time, Citi is shorting it. So it's like, here, you do this, and then, by the way, I know you won't try to make money off of your shorts. We will just wait until the price gets way down, and then we'll work together with all the funds. Anyway, I'm not going to get into all that, even though I did.
Even though
Well, also, Morgan Stanley is one of the big IPO houses and runs one of the biggest prime books. So they have their hands in everything, and their clients are definitely chirping at them if they're the one on the low end. I think they do market making as well, but I'm not sure how big that operation is.
Yikes.
Sounds like Citadel. The only thing Citadel didn't have left now that they're involved in is the actual exchange themselves. And now they're trying to do that too. So, hey, we'll just go from A to Z and handle everything in the whole transaction. Maybe they'll just have to do with other.
Name themselves from Amazon, everything from A to Z.
Yeah, there you go. We're not sponsored.
I'll tell you what. I miss Amazon over here, but I want to know: do you think he gets in trouble this time? Because he didn't get in trouble as far as like regulatory action or go to jail, right? Last time,
nope.
Do you think he gets in trouble this time? And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I think he does get in trouble this time.
I don't. Why? And if he does,
why?
Yeah, why? Is he an American?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Just curious. I'm like, okay, if is he?
As far as I know, he's American.
Is he
Canadian?
One of those guys that's Canadian, but you think they're American? I don't know.
Is he an accredited investor?
Yeah.
At that level, he would be for sure. Yeah.
Is he registered as an accredited investor?
Well, one of the things that people are saying is that he's being backed by somebody to do this, and that somebody's given him this amount of money to invest.
Because even with the $116 million call option, you'd have to have so much money on the underlying option to get that. Right? It's definitely over
where the
1.2 million to be accredited.
There's also, he made 60 million or so. I don't know. If you look at what he made, and that was 3 years ago, and money since then. He's got money, but that doesn't mean he's not being encouraged or ribbed by somebody to do this or that.
I would have shut the hell up and moved on with my life. I don't want another smoke.
But I know
$60 million, I'm out.
Yeah. But the Elon
don't take that number. I want to say I heard that. What'd you say, Royce?
They have to. They are accredited. They are registered. They trade, right? They have accounts. They trade. But this guy, he could literally be I never registered with the SEC. What are you going to do to me?
Freeze all his assets, which they can do,
and then say, okay, you can't trade anymore. Okay.
No, they can freeze the assets in your bank account, right? Then he just doesn't have access to his money.
No, but even so, they can't keep it frozen indefinitely, right? If there's fine, if he's not accredited, if it's okay, we slap your hand, even if they fine him, right? There's nothing necessarily that will say, okay, if he's not registered, if he's not regulated, if he's not, there's nothing it's more or less okay, don't do that again. And to make sure you don't do that again, you can't trade anywhere ever again.
I mean, I think if they can find him guilty of some kind of market manipulation, they can give you a crazy fine.
If they do that, they're going to have to go back and look at all these other what seem to be
would
market
they?
manipulation
Would
happen
they?
every
Oh,
single
come
day.
on, Darren. We both know they're not going to do that. They're going to do this to make an example of him, to
Of a
poo-poo
retail
on the little
investor.
guy like they always do. Yes, a
I
glue
think it is a
sniffer.
mission, though. I don't
Um,
think this was not about as much money this time as it was about hurt the hedge funds and make them bleed, because there was a big deal between those two back when it happened. And I think it's more of a mission, kind of like what most of us apes are. It started off as money. I want to make some money off this play. And then it became, no, I want to eventually change the way the market works. So it became more of a mission instead of the money. And I think that's what he's doing right now. Could be wrong.
So
on the bad side, he could be working with the funds and trying to pump it so he can catch everybody. I don't know.
I've heard something. There's a quote. It's like, if you are a hero long enough, you become the villain.
I thought it was we're retarded longer than they can stay solvent.
I think I've heard that on some of the tweets.
Yeah. I like that quote. That's just
We
like
just
a
keep
guiding
eating crayons.
that's just like a guiding life philosophy, is that I'm just going to stay like that and way longer than life can keep up with me. So,
i.e. hodl. Yes. Gotcha.
Yep.
All right. Well, we kind of already hit the we already really hit the unless you guys want to make fun of apes. You got anything else you want to make fun of apes about? Just,
No, let's bring out the crayons.
Hey, let's bring out the crayon. We've already talked about the yield curve, so let's move on to the crayons and charts. I gotta get a little tune for that.
All right. Yeah. What are we doing? Come on, man. What are we doing? All right. So let me.
What you got? You got Boeing up? Let's go to something else.
Okay. We can do Boeing. Boeing. Why not?
Is that what we're doing?
Okay. We can do Boeing. Yeah. I was thinking about doing this one for the bet, but we can do this one for where we are this week on it. How about that? All right.
That's what our special guest wanted us to do, wasn't it? That's what JP Morgan wanted us to do.
That's what Josh wanted us to do a couple of weeks ago. So
tip of the hat to you, Josh.
Josh Morgan, JP Morgan, we got you, brother. We got on our daily time frame Boeing, we got our infinity band and our intermediate band, which basically is the middle and the top band, our biggest band in the system. And we're sitting on our daily time frame. We see these dollar signs letting us know that there was a top around December of 2023, and it was sitting at about $260 per share. Since then, however, in both bands, we got a sell signal. If you didn't take profit all the way up there, we got a sell signal in February of 2024 saying, yeah, you should probably leave. And it was sitting about still at 217. So hopefully you took note of that and listen. But if you didn't, you had one more. The biggest band finally said, yeah, if you're still not out, you've already given away $60 of your profit. Leave before it gets really ugly. And then it just proceeded to get really ugly. The question is, will it try to pick itself up anytime soon? We look like we are seeing just a little bit of bottoming in our intermediate band. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually change this guy. I'm going to actually mute the infinity band, and I'm going to bring our intermediate band to arbitrage and see what we see on the daily time frame. On the daily time frame, however, and we're on the daily, and odds are actually showing pretty good. We got about 93% chance that basically Boeing should be able to stay above the 176, so it should find some support somewhere around 176 if it were to fall. And how high can it go? Well, looking at our dashboard as well, looks like somewhere around 199-ish should be the top, with a, like I said, a low somewhere around 162 and the mid somewhere around 176. So from where we are right now, Boeing is in a brand new, as in about 2 weeks ago, May the 15th, buy trend. And so far, so good. Back to you guys.
All right. That is Royce with Boeing as his chart and crayon project for this week. That chart kind of looked like when it was way up here and then it came way down, it kind of looked like almost a part falling down to earth.
I thought you were going to say when the plane hit that air pocket.
Right? Oh.
Sorry, not sorry. Okay. Well,
we
I
lost
guess
cabin pressure here. We can't do that.
all
No
right.
pressure
That was
though.
Boyne. Thanks, Josh, for the idea a couple of weeks ago, and we miss you. We miss you. But we're very glad to have Daniel back.
I was gonna say,
Let's
I'm like,
go.
do you want me to not show up
We
next
can.
week?
Hey, there's room for 4 over here. Don't tempt me.
I,
Don't
I,
threaten me with
I
bedtime.
thought it only had 3 audio things. I mean, we can
Or
have them
maybe
on.
not.
I
Maybe
just don't.
not.
Will that
I
work?
think
Aaron?
I think once we get so good at this, then we might try 4. But yeah, all I got to do is get rid of one of these graphics, and I can bring in an actual head, another head.
Oh, so
So
it's
yes,
him that's holding us back.
we're
Of course.
phasing it in, just like the new stock exchange by Citadel and BlackRock. We'll
Yeah.
just phase it in. All right, let's go on to the wager, which is back to the GME. So that's what it was. It was GME, and we have a scorecard, which I'm going to put up right now. That's what I'm showing everyone right now. And as you can see, in this week 10, there is a big old Pips head in the quants, i.e. Royce again. So that puts him at 6. That puts the institutions at 1 and the dumb money apes at 3. So, I mean, and in Daniel's defense, he's by himself and he hasn't been on the whole time. So,
Yeah.
we'll go with that.
I don't know. He's been back for 2 weeks. What's up?
Okay.
Yeah, but I was gone for like 5.
If I can get you guys fighting, then you won't say stuff about me.
We definitely
Mr.
got this.
One.
We definitely got this.
Win one once. So what happened was, because last week when we were talking about GME, I got Roy said, "Hey, I did a great job picking the channel," which he said was right on. And so as we normally do, the first person takes the middle. So I just followed suit and took the middle channel and said, "Hey, you guys, just like usual, take the top and bottom." But I also gave a caveat that I really wanted the top because of all the options that were happening. And sure enough, as of today, it's in top 32. GME did, I believe.
Oh yes, it did. It did. But it made it to $40 this week, just for the record.
It did. It did. It made 44 before though, right? And then now it's back up to 40 again, I believe. So it's almost back up to where it was.
It got down to I think 22 though, as well.
It did. That is crazy. All that money you could have made down, up, down, up.
Yep. Volatility. It's
you
your
can
friend.
make money down, you can make it up.
Right.
But we are not financial advisors. So I really don't want to talk about this too much anyway. We've already beat GME into the ground now. I got beat again, but I had the right thought.
You did.
Which pays absolutely no bills. All right, so
sure it does.
Royce, you had some. You won, therefore it's take it.
Okay.
You
I'm
have
gonna
some
now
ideas.
talk
You have
about
some ready.
AMD.
You have a
AMD.
chart for that too.
Oh yeah. So
all right,
just like in the vein of the FedEx and FCX and FIX. So since we're already on meme stocks, AMC, he wouldn't let me pick AMC, so we're gonna do AMD. It just seems fair, right? And looking at AMD, looks like we have a high support range around 173 with a low support range about 150. So it means we literally have about a $23 window to play with this guy. So it means technically, I guess each one of us could get about, $7.33 roughly. But if you guys, want to split the dollar, someone can have it if they want it. For this, based on where the charts are, AMD is looking like it's also in an uptrend on our daily chart on our arbitrage band. It needs to hold support around 1. From this chart, looks like support is sitting right at about 157. 157. So basically, from 157 to where we are, maybe 150. All right, so I'm trying to find my range here, guys. I'm going to say for about $7 range. All right, I'm going to do from 162 to 169. Fair?
All right. So looking at that chart, Royce, it seems to be bouncing off the middle line there.
Yes, sir.
Which that's just the midpoint between the top and bottom bands, right?
Exactly.
There really is no real quote line. It's just a kind of a
That's just
demarcation
where
of
resistance
in
is
between.
for the next band in the system. Because
But
remember,
it is
they're
funny
always
though that it hit it and keeps bouncing off of it.
Mm-hmm.
I
Hey, so
also
I mean,
see
you
the
can,
red
you can
line,
take up there if you want up there. It is currently in a buy trend.
but I also see that the red line is catching up to the blue line.
You weren't
At
supposed
least,
to see that. You were supposed to totally ignore that fact.
yeah, okay, whatever. You've trained me differently. So I could see a possible it's at the bottom of the top and bottom band. See, you could learn with us as you're going along, people. But because we have these 12 bands to look at, it's so many, but it also is so thorough. So
Darren, do the
we're at
bands make her dance? Do you know?
they bands make her dance. Yeah. Oh, I don't have that ready to play.
We
Probably a
can.
good thing.
It's Memorex.
Probably a good thing.
Yeah, we
It's
get a
about that old. The song
copywriting
is.
lawsuit from like UMG.
Hey, as long as it's not
That's
more
right.
than 15 bars.
That's right. That's right. So I'm going to say, I mean, it's kind of contradictory here. It looks like the Reds catching up. It's still at the very bottom of these two bands.
Which means that's a lot of support underneath it.
It is. And it does like it's trying to push back up again. Where's the top? Where's that yellow? That is at one. It's too small for me to see. 170.
170, 80, I think.
170, 80.
170, 80. And
Yep.
you took up to 169. So
yep.
If you're allowing me to go next.
Hey, sure. I will let you go next.
Last week. Sorry, Daniel.
He's like,
yeah, no, I'm always just on this shit. What the hell?
I'm fearing there's going to be a major, because tech is ridiculous right now in the market, and you know how they do this sympathy stuff, and if Nvidia finally, after this split, which is coming up Friday after market close,
yep.
And they want to just start pulling back this ridiculous Nvidia where it is now, they're going to pull back AMD too. So it's a tough call. It really is. I'm gonna.
Really analyzing this, huh?
Really I know, because I'm looking at the charts this week. I'm not being a dumb money.
Hand me the bottle of glue and let's go.
I'm still gonna. I'm gonna say below. I'm gonna say it's going below.
Okay. So that means you're 62 and below, 162 and below.
161.99 and below, yes.
Yes. Okay. 162, 161.99 and below. Okay.
I'm being an ass. All right, Daniel. I guess you. Good choice.
So guess what? It's not going there. With my luck. No, it will in 2 weeks.
You know, Daniel, you can go lower than him.
Oh, he can.
What's his lower?
Just go $7 lower. I mean, you got a range technically, because I remember I said it goes all the way down to 150, so you can technically go lower than his low, and I'm at the top of the range.
Well, if we want to start, doing that now, I'm okay with that. But then that puts me in the middle.
I like up and to the right. Let's go up.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
So that means anything above 169, that's you, Daniel. Got it.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys coming with all of your good facts and figures, and I just sit here with none. And you didn't really hurt me too bad this week with your comments, even though you could, because it was the week of GME here at After the Bell. And we hope you guys will
never stops.
That's right. Can't stop, won't stop.
How do they even make money anymore? Who goes
to basically other games for $1 and then sell them for 30?
Okay, we're gonna stop this. We don't want to go another 30 minutes on Keith Gill and GameStop and Ryan Cohen. Let's bring everybody else in.
Everybody.
All right, thanks, guys. We'll move on and hope to see you next week on After the Bell. Thanks, guys.